Everyone, welcome. Today is a build along titled Team Up Smarter Collabs with Asset Templates with Pigeon number 12 and SpaceGlitterUnicorn. Today's skills matrix alignments, of course, is scripting, programming the skills needed to write and manage 3D content code bases. And then we have art assets design and creation of static meshes for use as world environments or items, props, wearables, characters, so on and so forth. All of the magic. All right, mentor office hours, important info. This session is recorded. Um, so yeah, we will be able to post this for you guys to review later on. And of course, mute yourself. I usually like to have a party, but for this one in particular, we're going to be really focused. So definitely keep yourself muted. Raise your hand. We're going to have a little Q&A time period at the end. So definitely use those hand raises or just use the chat. Keep questions concise, limit to 2 to 3 minutes, share context beforehand. Yeah, utilize that chat. Everybody is always open to help one another. And, you guys are such a great community. Be active in the chat. And at the end, please, oh, please fill out the survey I will be providing to you at the end of this. And tag me or Pigeon in the appropriate channels or the forums. Just don't DM us. And yeah, let's get started.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, today is gonna be more kind of like a fun build along session where Space Glitter and I are gonna be demonstrating how to collaborate with others while creating an experience. Often we get used to, let's say, work individually. Like for example, let's say one person creates the script, another person creates the asset, and at some point the workflow we hit like a roadblock sometimes, right? Like sometimes either the a scripter is waiting for the builder to finish something or vice versa, right? So what we're trying to demonstrate today is kind of like to suggest or recommend a workflow that hopefully is going to help, for those team uh, interactions, right? To make sure that there is a smooth collaboration between creators. So for today's exercise, I think we talked about, let's say, create kind of like a pistol, pretty much, right? And then
Yes.
I'm looking at your screen, I'm looking like, oh, I just realized that I'm really tall there. Okay, so uh, so the key aspect of we're going to be sharing some tips and tricks as we build along. But the first step, let's say that I want to create a pistol and I want to, want to create a nice model, personalized model. So the first step is to create kind of like a gray box of it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a gray box version of what a pistol will look like, literally just the bare bones. So I'm just going to be using the shapes here. By the way, if you're looking at the streaming from SpaceGlitterUnicorn, my screen is on the right side, and then she's going to be sharing her screen on the left side. Um,
Yes.
so what I'm doing here is just going to be using, primitive shapes. I'm going to just put this here, and then maybe another one. I'm just going to try to create kind of like a very simple pistol here with just 2 cubes. So I'm going to scale this down, maybe scale it learn you like that. And then that's gonna be for the chamber and stuff. So I'm gonna try to get like a good approximation of what the correct size would look like for a player to be able to grab it. So I think I need it to be a little bit smaller and then up, backwards a little bit. And then for the handle, I'm gonna do the same. So I like to use this trick, which is basically copy the position and then paste it into the other object to make sure that it's aligned. And then I scale it down like this, a little bit more. Oop, let's see, maybe, let's see. I'm gonna maybe make it move it up. So, and then it's a little bit more like so. Some reason, it, okay, some reason it's not liking it, the scale.
Oh.
Look at that. It's not scaling down smaller than that.
Oh my.
That's new. That's
Right?
okay. I think we I think we have a workaround for every problem, I think. So I'm just gonna type it in here. So 0 point, maybe 0.1 maybe. That's maybe not too. Let me see what the scale of the other one is. So this one on the x-axis is 0.12. So 0.1 for the 100 should be fine. So now if I move it up, there you go. It's kind of like there. And then I need to move it backwards a little bit.
Yeah, it's being weird, but
Yeah.
I could just adjust it in
Yep.
on my end.
Yeah, the initial goal here is literally just create kind of like a literally like ugly gray box to kind of like to give the artist an idea of basically what we're looking for. So I'm just gonna scale it down a little bit more because I want to make sure that the proportions are at least somewhat close to what I'm looking for. And okay, there's something weird with that other cube there. This is
Mm-hmm.
interesting, but I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's a good size.
Yeah, we will work
So,
with it.
yep, do you wanna,
I'll grab it.
yep, got it.
So my job as the artist is okay. The scripter gave me a task. So I'm gonna go ahead and whoop, there we go. Okay.
Oh, let
Now I'm
me go small. Sorry about that.
it's all right. So basically what I'm going to do is she gave me she said, hey, Space Glitter, could you make me a gun so I can attach a script to it and do a whole bunch of cool stuff, scripty stuff? And I said, sure, okay, so let's do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this geometry by basically pressing this hamburger menu up top on the upper left hand side, going to export geometry. And now here in this window, we are going to change the export from entire world to selected objects. And now what I'm going to do is go from, actually, I don't need to change this. World center is just fine. And then export. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. And I'm just going to do pistol demo. All right, cool. All right, template. And press save. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and go into Blender. Here we are. All right, file, import FBX. Find that FBX here and import into the scene. Oops, I forgot to delete stuff. And that's just fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this same pistol and I'm just going to give it back to her, but in the initial FBX form. So first off, I do want to fix that little area here. So I'm going to scale by the x-axis and just kind of like, there we go. Now I'm going to give it back. Joined.
Yeah,
File.
I'm gonna delete my Graybox version here. It's just like
Actually,
oh,
I'm going to apply the scale. Whoops, nope. Just kidding. We are apply that scale. Okay, cool.
oh yeah, and the rotation, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And the rotation. Sweet. File, export, FBX, and I'm gonna find that. Right, I'm gonna call this pistol. Selected objects and export. Going back into Horizon, gonna go
Oh,
ahead to down here to my assets, add new 3D model. I'm gonna turn off the pivot for this project. Choose my file. Go here and select the new pistol. And the reason we're doing this is because now we need a solid asset to replace, right, Pigeon?
yep, that is correct. So basically, the idea with asset templates is that you want to create kind of like a, as the name implies, a template that then is going to be updated in future updates, future uploads from the artist team, right? So by having that base template, then it'll be easier later on to basically take the updates from the art team and basically propagate those changes across the world. So that's basically what we're going to be doing here. So there you go. So she has it here in the world. So the next steps, now that I have that here in the world, I can delete the Graybox version. Let me move the spawn point backwards a little bit and delete the Graybox version. And this is going to be now the mesh that I'm going to be using for the build. Something interesting, I wonder what happened here, but I'm noticing that the axis here is inverted for some reason.
Oh
Is
my goodness.
interesting?
I
But
might have forgotten something and I know exactly what.
what was it?
So I'm going to go back to File, Export, FBX. And I forgot to do one thing, which we did speak about. It's going to be object types. It's going to be mesh only. And then we have to actually apply the transform. So this is a good lesson and good to note is to apply that transform so that we have the right orientation in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that item.
All right, cool. So okay, I'm going to delete this one here.
Alrighty. All right, 3D model, turning off the pivots, going here. Here we are. And then gonna bring in that fresh pistol and import. I'm like, oh, I knew right away what I did wrong. It's that menu, and honestly, I should save that out. Okay, so here we are.
Awesome. There you go. I can see it right away in your
Yeah.
screen that is facing forward. So yeah, so something that we need to get used to, like for example, on created asset, is that you want to make sure that the model that you're working with has the correct dimensions and the correct rotation and the correct proportions, right? So for example, in this case, if you go to Blender real quickly,
Yep.
let's see if you click on the model. Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, so for example, you can see there on the screen that she has 0, 0 on the rotation, 1, 1 on the scale. And for example, that translates here in the world to be facing forward. So that's what you normally want to do whenever you're creating, assets in the world, that you want them to be, with the correct orientation. So from here, I'm going to then start working on the scripting things on the scripting side. And SpaceGlitter now is going to continue now working on the modeling side. And then at some point, we're going to then refresh the model and update the what we see in the world with hopefully without having to reconnect anything in the world. So yeah, this is the part where each one of us do their own thing.
Yes.
So
So yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a template and just pretty much build around it because we want to keep the initial shape, but make it, much nicer than the cubes. So I'm going to go ahead and just start here. What I usually like to do is I like to use the origin point, as a way to get my 3D cursor into the right orientation inside the model. So I'm going to do Shift S and then cursor to selected. And there you go. Now, if I were to do Shift A, I'm going to do Mesh Cube. And now I'm in the right location. So this is really, really good to know and to use.
Yeah, on my end, I'm just basically just putting all the pieces together. Basically, I'm just creating a group using an empty object where I'm basically just placing a projectile gizmo inside of it. So that way, when the new model comes in, everything is already organized in here. So I'm going to call this one pistol. group. And then I'm just gonna put everything inside of it. So basically I'm gonna drag the model as well as the projectile gizmo inside of the empty object. All right, seems to be fine. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna start with my script. So let's see. So in this case, oh, by the way, if you haven't used the empty object, this empty object that you can find under the build menu and then empty object is a great feature that allows you to modify the pivot point or the center point of the geometry that you're working with. So for example, in this case, as it is, the center of this group is way ahead of the pistol. So right here in the center, that's where the center of the group is. However, if I wanted to modify it so that way, when I'm ready to grab the object later on, I want to have the center over here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to drag the internal objects forward, just like so. And then when I click back into the group, now we can see that the center has moved, had shifted a little bit. I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to move this forward like so. And there you have it. The center is more or less on the handle. I'm going to move it back a little bit more just to anticipate, where the position of the handle is going to be with the final model. And that's okay. I think we can work with that. So yeah, I'm just going to start now working on with my script. I'm going to create a new script and I'm just going to call it pistol.
And right here, I just started to use the subdivision surface modifier because I usually like to make my pistols a little more on the cartoony side, the little chunky side. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like work with this shape this way. Here we are. Awesome. Scale this up just a smidge. I think that's off to a great start. And yeah, just kind of like keep plugging away. Once I get like the actual initial shape that I want, I'm going to go ahead and bring it in so we can take a look at, the scale of the model and stuff like that. So far, I think this is pretty solid. Okay. Alrighty.
So I personally like to work with empties a lot because that basically remove the compromise in terms of like a scale, rotation, or position. Like for example, whenever you want to make adjustments to the model later, instead of making changes to the model directly, you can simply adjust the empty, and that way you don't have to sacrifice the core properties of the model. So especially working with collaboration environments, empties is a lifesaver for sure.
Alrighty. Click off into space here. Do a little Control R action. Actually, I'm going to adjust that in a second. So work on this handle. I'm totally doing asset improv here, so I'm just kind of making up the shapes. But honestly, like, don't be afraid to experiment with those shapes. Like, you never know what you might come up with, and it's really fun to do. Is just to kind of like go off the brain. But if you are going for something specific, definitely get yourself a lot of references, because as a 3D modeler, references are very important. So, oh my goodness, I have 3D. There we go.
What do you say? Should we attempt one update to see what happens?
Yep, let's go. All right,
Let's do it.
so I'm gonna go ahead and bring this guy in. I'm gonna join it. And actually, no, I'm gonna apply the scale. and the rotation just in case. File, export, FBX. Let me just kind of like repeat what I did before, making sure that under object types, it's the mesh only, limited to selected objects, and that we are applying the transform down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to increment my imports. So I'm going to do _001. That's just for my own mental sanity. And I do like to number my imports. So I'm going to go ahead and export that FBX and go right into Horizon. I'm going to add new 3D model, turn off those pivots. 001. This part is super cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press import. Oh, wait, I did this wrong. Oh, I'm so silly. I'm going ahead of myself. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is find the version that I imported before and go in the menu over here under the asset details and replace the asset. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to replace asset, turn off the pivots, find that model, which is 001. Okay, and now import. And this part is really super cool because now what it's going to do is going to replace this geometry here. Now it says success. Usually there's a blue dot, but if there isn't here, that's just fine. Click on here and then it will show up under this menu. And now we can go ahead and update that asset by either pressing update all or just the individual asset. So I'm going to press here and let's see the magic happen. And there we have it. Those
Yep.
pistols are absolutely replaced.
So something that we noticed when we were practicing this is that there is indeed looks like a bug in Horizon at the moment that if we try to interact with the pistols right now, then we're gonna have a little bit of an issue. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna leave this instance and then return to it to make sure that everything is good to go. So yeah, so we both are gonna leave this instance. So let me just do that, and then I'm almost out. All right, I'm gonna travel back now.
All right, going right on in.
All right, there you go. So they are both updated now, and they still remain, keep the same scale as before. So yeah, so I'm just gonna continue working on my own stuff. As you can see, for example, I'm gonna continue working on the scripting side without having to readjust the position of things. Since we made sure that the scale of the Graybox model was more or less the scale that I was expecting to have, the model at the end, that reduces the amount of friction, the friction between the modeling and the scripting, right? I literally don't have to touch this group at all. I'm just going to continue working with my script right now to make sure that basically, this pistol is functional at the end of this workflow.
Then I'm going to go back to my friend here. So I'm going to actually get back to refining this model, putting some really cool shapes and stuff into it. But I think, yeah, I want to work on this handle. Tabbing to edit mode. Now I'm going to go ahead and start just pulling away at this mesh here. So
With working with mobile, as you can see now, as soon as I change the grabbable to be grabbable already, I can grab it and everything seems more or less, in the correct position. However, the orientation of the pistol and the posture of the avatar is not correct. So this is a good opportunity basically to mention that when you work with mobile experiences, we don't have the ability of like manipulating the rotation of their hands, during play mode. So we have to do that, everything, the configuration through the properties panel. So for example, in this case, it's already grabbable. However, in the properties here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also enable grab anchors for cross screens here, which is this option. And now when I enter the world to attempt to grab the pistol, there you go. So it's almost perfect. And the reason why it's like this, just again, I will not get tired of emphasizing that a lot, is that empties is kind of like a lifesaver when in terms of like, making sure that your asset have the correct proportion, the correct position and everything. If you remember, in this group, what I did is that I used an empty basically to manipulate the center position of the mesh. So that way, when I grab it now, the center is right there where the handle is. And in that center point is where that anchor is going to be for the grabbable object. Now I'm going to attach the script as well and connect the projectile launcher.
And I'm just here. I just applied all of my modifiers. Now what I want to do is combine both these parts so I can go ahead and bridge a little bit of the trigger area. So I'm going to do this, combine it, and start plugging away at this geometry. Oh, geez. We are.
There you go. And in my case, just continue with the configuration. I'm just changing the avatar pose to be pistol. And now when I grab it, there you have it. So we have a pose. I'm going to continue tinkering with this. As you can see, an immediate problem right now is that the pistol is pointing in one direction, whereas the aiming position is pointing in a different direction, then therefore it's kind of like hard to aim. So I'm just going to rotate the pistol a little bit down, and also I'm going to make the script local to make sure that the projectile shoots in the direction of the pointer of the weapon.
What is this random face here? I found some weird geometry, but
Oh,
I
really?
fixed
It's
it.
oh, I'm sure you can fix almost anything.
Oh,
If not
yeah.
everything on modeling right at this point.
No, we got this. Usually what I like to do is I like to do a little bridge from the handle up to this, I don't know what you call this area, like the cannon area, the hand cannon area. So I'm going to do Control R and just another Control R, just kind of work that out here. Just going to work in this immediate area. I don't know, just kind of like experimenting with the geometry. Don't actually. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna take a minute to read through the comments here. Let's see. We have, yep, apply transforms, is very important. Always apply transforms, yep. Yeah, great. Yeah, definitely. That's something that gets me all the time as well. Um, I just autoly order here saying I just learned Control R yesterday. What is Control R? I don't know that
Con
one.
Control R is the creation of edge loops, which is really super cool.
Oh, in Blender. I was thinking about the desktop better. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Oh yeah, for edge loops. Yep, yep. Uh,
Absolutely.
and
All right.
then
This is fine. I'm going to actually scale my Y just a smidge.
Yep, world cubes. The replace button is also, a great way of propagating changes to your worlds, because that way you don't have to create new assets every time. Just replace it, and then the changes are going to be propagated to all the instances of that or copies in the world of that asset. Um, and yeah, great. That's why you get notifications for updates. Let's see. Yeah, Cray is asking, do you try to leave the build mode and come back yet? Yep. That's a situation right now that we have
Totally.
that we have to do that sometimes, but I know that the Horizon team is working on solving those issues. Um, so Stacy's asking, and the empty object is just the grouped root. Yeah, you can call it that way. Yeah, I normally use it as the empty object has multiple uses. In this case, I'm using it as the root of the group, but it's also a great resource if you want to organize the items in your hierarchy. So that way you don't have, like, let's say like 1,000 items listed here. You can just put them all inside a group, and that way you can, collapse it, and then it will be, easier to see. And then
What are we doing?
Gray is asking, how do you do that again? It was damn perfect the first. Gray is asking about the grab anchor. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to that, Gray.
Yeah, those grab anchors are tough to do, right? On desktop editor.
They are, yeah. So basically, again, for example, like the important trick that there are two secrets about this, right? One is to make sure that your model has the correct proportion from the get-go. And then the second trick about getting that grab anchor like on the first try is making sure that the pivot point or the center of the entire group is where the handle is going to be, because that pivot point or the center is where those little hands are going to be positions, the hands that appear in VR when you try to set the anchor points. That's where those hands are going to land. So that's the importance of making sure that the center of your group, or basically the center of any grabbable object, needs to be positioned where you expect the player to grab that object. And that's basically is going to make things super easy. So at this point, all I have to do is basically just adjust the rotation, because when I grab it, it's kind of like uh, pointing up. So I'm just going to basically rotate it down a little bit to adjust the aiming. As you can see, the projectile is already going towards the center, toward the point that I have, and that is because I already changed the script to be local scripted. And when it's locally scripted, the projectile travels to the center of the camera automatically. So I'm just going to rotate the grab anchor here to make sure that it points in the right direction. Uh, do you want to try another import here to see another try here about the import process?
Yes, for sure.
Since
So I'm going to go ahead.
since now I'm getting like how is it, like jealous about how cool that weapon is looking in that Blender, and I still have a Graybox version here. So yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Let's
Oh,
do.
it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead. Once again, I'm going to do export FBX. I'm going to rename this as version 002, making sure that all these settings are the correct settings, making sure that apply transforms is turned on, because that is super important for this. Export, going back to Horizon, the desktop editor. All right. And not going to forget again, I'm going to go back to the asset I need to replace. Go ahead under the asset details, replace, turn off those pivots, find my new pistol, which is version 002. All right, clicking that import. It's going to give us that OK. Nice, success. Up here next to the Gen AI button, we're going to press that refresh button and update.
Yay, look at
Sweet.
that. How cool those things look. So, but now let's leave and come
Looking
back before.
good. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me leave. I'm gonna leave the world real quickly.
Okay.
And
me too.
Sweet. And then I'm gonna go back in.
Going back. And I'll return to Blender. Alrighty. So let's see what other details. I mean, I could totally keep this simple, but part of me really wants to put a lot of features and meat and potatoes in here.
Look at that! Look at how cool it looks. This pistol, nice. Really great job.
a
Nice. All right. So yeah, just gonna continue adjusting the rotation here. Okay. And the rotation, I need to adjust it on the x-axis. So I want to point down a little bit. Just gonna do maybe like -15. I think that should be fine. Let's see. Then if I grab it, there you go. It looks decent. There you go. Oh,
nice.
yeah, it looks okay.
Um, yeah, what is our time frame? Okay, I think I can start UV unwrapping this and texturing it. So I'm gonna jump right into that.
Nice. While you do that, I'm just gonna add a particle effect to the pistol here, so that way when it shoots, it looks even cooler.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna go.
I
Yeah.
usually like to work right in the layout area because really theoretically you can open any of these tabs right here. I usually just like to make my windows, and if I want to get rid of them to make more space, I just right click on this I guess this line here, and I can join left, join right, up and down. This time I'm going to join left to get rid of all of that. And then as you can see, it's gone. Actually, I'm going to do that down here too. Perfect. So I'm going to make my UV editor window here. Sweet. And start to cut out my shape. I'm going to keep it super simple for this.
Okay, I'm just adding here the variables for the particle effects. I'm gonna populate it here, and then when I press the trigger, I'm just gonna play that particle effect. So VFX play, and let me save that script, connected variable, and also make sure that the particle effect has the correct proportions. Oh, right now that's huge. So I'm gonna make it smaller here, 0.1 maybe. Play. Yes, seems fine. Oh, by the way, I think it was Mikey Ace who shared the trick about hiding the gizmos. So if you are in the situation where the gizmos are in the way of you building something, you can go to the shaders menu here and then basically toggle off the gizmo view. So that way they're not obstructing your view while you configure things in the world. So yeah, so it looks like the empty is still there, but it's better without the yellow one here that I was trying to configure. So let's see.
All right, so I just did some quick UV unwrapping. So let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to go, oh, I know I forgot a part. Um, actually, that should be fine. So I'm going to press A for all. And just really quick on this side on the UV editor viewport, I'm going to press A, right click, unwrap. And there are all my pieces. I mean, it's really super, I've done this super quick. You could take your UV unwrapping a little further, but due to time constraints, here we are. So now what I'm going to do is I aim to use materials, Blender materials to color out this pistol. So I'm going to just get rid of this UV editor really quick, joining left, and I'm going to tab into object mode and create my new colors. So what colors do you guys think I should create for this pistol? Sound off in the chat. Let me know. Pink. I like pink. All right, I'm going to create a pink. Alrighty, so let's do that.
You have
I
pink, you
see.
have people asking green and blue, purple.
Yeah, let's.
Sparkles, blue faded
uh,
into yellow.
no, I'm gonna use flat colors for this one. Blue yellow glitter. Yeah, I know. Not for this one. I'll definitely. You know what? I should do a glitter tutorial. But for now, I'm just gonna do flat colors due to time constraints, really. Okay, so pink. I heard a purple. Whoops. Do There we are. I'm gonna do a blue. Let's see. Somebody said rainbow. I'll do a green as well. Sweet. All right, neat. So, all right. So what I usually like to do is I'll take this guy and I'll tab. And now what I'll do is start with the face selection. Start selecting the faces I want to color in. So I'm going to go ahead. I usually like to use Shift Alt and then I'll click on this edge loop here. And now I have, as long as the geometry is good, it will wrap all the way around. If there is an interruption in the geometry, it won't do this. So I'm going to keep going. And yeah, I think that's good for blue. I'm going to select the material blue and assign. And as you can see, now it's all colored in. In here, I'd like to use that green, assign, assign.
Oh wow, that is
And
a really well built pistol. I don't know if you can see my screen there, but the index finger goes right through the trigger. I don't know if you can see that. That's really cool.
nice. I don't know who
Nice.
built it, but they did a good job.
Yeah, they did a good job. Yeah. Uh, if you know them, like, let them know that they did a great job there.
Alrighty. And there we are. Cool. I should make this purple. Nice. I'm gonna do this inside here, that green color.
Yeah.
Just keep plugging away.
Let me read through the messages here. Yeah, thank you, Craig. They're saying this is an awesome collaboration right here. This is fun. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Uh,
It's fun to collaborate with, is like I know we're out of headset right now, but still like you could have like a Zoom call or a Discord call and just kind of like jam out between you, the artist, and you, the scripter. This could
yeah,
totally happen.
yeah, because that we were talking about that earlier. That one of the missing feature, I want to say, benefits of VR modeling or creation is that remember those nights or days, mostly nights sometimes, when you used to like to have like a bunch of friends, in a build session and they start, building, creating things, talking about life, like adjusting the model live there, adjusting the script, and then testing right away. We kind of lost that when we transitioned to the desktop editor. But as you can see, we can find new collaboration methods, right, and collaboration avenues that allows to keep that, connections and that social aspect of building with others in Horizon Worlds. And you can do it literally, we're using Zoom today, but you can do this through a call on Messenger. You can do it on Discord. Many people just join on an audio call and start just jamming there or vibe coding, how they call it. And yeah, just having fun building together, because at the end of the day, that's the core of behind, social experiences like this one.
Yeah, totally. So actually, I'm over here. I'm going to pivot over to baking out the texture I just created with these materials. And how we do that is I'm going to go ahead and create a shader editor window and make my texture here. So clicking off into space, I am on my first, actually, I usually like to go here and just click on slot number 1 so that I go down the line. Clicking off into space, I'm going to go ahead and do right click, add a texture. I really love the shader editor. You can absolutely do things on this side, but having these nodes here is really fun. What I'm going to do with my new texture, I'm going to click on new. I'm going to call this pistol underscore BR. All right, I'm going to keep it at a 1024 pixels. So what I'm going to do is click on new image. So now that I have this already done and selected, I'm going to do Control Copy, Control C. And with this still selected, do not select off into space because this will not work. You need to have this selected. Now I'm going to go to the next color, click off into space, Control V, and again, Control V, and once more, Control V. So that basically me putting it in every single material is going to help it capture onto one texture. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to make sure that I am in object mode and I have my object selected. So now let's go into the render mode. I'm going to take the render engine from Eevee to cycles, scrolling down to where it says bake. And I'm going to change the bake type to from combine to diffuse because all we need is the color information. I'm going to unselect the direct and indirect light. Now, another thing I usually like to do is I like to create a new window so I can see my bake in action. I'm going to change this from the shader editor to UV editor. I'm going to make sure that my new texture is selected. And I think we're all ready to go. We're going to watch the magic happen over here on the left-hand side. Down here is usually the loading, but it's super fast. The color information is like super simple. So yeah, our texture is done. Now all I need to do is go to image, save as, and I'm going to save it into my folder. Always remember to create a folder. Whoa, that is so loud. That's cool. All
Oh,
right.
sorry about that. Let me
It's
load.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. No, it's awesome. Making sure that the file format is PNG. Uh, all we need is RGB, the color depth, everything else is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Now what I'd like to do is close out all these windows again because we don't need it. And I'm going to get rid of these guys, add that new texture. And there you go. Now we have a brand new texture for our pistol. And I think I'm ready to import.
Let's do it.
All right. Making sure that our material is properly named. I'm going to go ahead and file, export, FBX, and I'm going to do this pistol number 3, making sure that all of my settings is correct. And going back to Horizon. Okie doke. All right, going to my assets, selecting the asset I want to replace. Over on the right-hand side, replace asset, turn off those pivots. And this will be number 3. And don't forget to bring over that awesome texture that you just created. Open, import. Alrighty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it by clicking on that refresh button and update.
Look at that. I'm excited to test it, but let's leave let's leave and come back into the world just to be
Yes.
sure. Yeah. So let's leave that and see 1 second. I'm leaving now. And okay, I'm out. Let's go back in.
Let's go. And after this, it would be up to you, the artist, the creator, to take it a step further. But due to due to time constraints, woo, we have a pew 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 pew
Yeah.
pew.
Hey, yeah. We have our gun. So nice.
Nice,
Look at that.
ready to go.
Great job. There you go. Nice. Really like
Dance,
the
pigeon,
size and everything.
dance.
Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think that basically the demonstration, right? What about if we go through the audience comments to make sure that we address any questions? Let's
All
see. I
right,
think that
guys.
the last one I read was from Cray 8:38. I think it was says yeah. She's saying thank you so much. Uh, that makes so much. Okay, she was asking. She was replying to the comment above.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Yeah. And then Stacy says, and there is no way to set or pivot to set or this to set pivot points directly in the desktop editor or than they using empty objects or from Blender. Do you want to talk about how to set the points from Blender and bring them over desktop editor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So let's say I wanted the pivot point to be at this handle here, right? Um, because I have the cursor already here, I could just simply go from to object set origin and origin to 3D cursor. But let's say the pivot was not there. So I'm going to go ahead and do Shift S and bring that cursor back to world origin, which is 000 in horizon. Then what I'll do is I will tab into edit mode and I usually like to find a vertice to refer to. Let's say I wanted to kind of like be here on that vertice. What I'll do is I will basically do shift and then right click and the basically the 3D cursor just basically moves there. And then what I'll do is with my object selected, I go to object set origin to 3D cursor. And now if I were to rotate this by the X axis, now I have a new pivot point. So what I'll do is finally, I'll just do file, export, FBX, and I'll just bring this in as number 4. And there we go. And so I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into edit mode and bring that in. But that's not going to affect I'm not going to bring it in replacing these guys. I'm just going to bring it in regular 3D model, preserve that offset pivot. And open, import. And so I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is when I have that selected, I would have to change this setting up top from local or hold on a
Keeping
second.
it local. Yeah, no, keeping it
Yeah.
local. Yep.
So I'm going to bring this out. and change this pivot. Yeah, to pivot. Yep. And so it's perfect. So now, as you can see, the pivot is in that very same spot that I created. Also, don't pay attention to this. I could have gave it more geometry, but time constraint. But yeah, that's basically how you set a pivot for
That's a
your items.
great demonstration. You have another compliment here. It says from Storming Decker, he's saying, watching Yelitza model things live is always wondrous. Uh, I'm a programmer, so I have an excuse for being clunky when using Blender, but I love watching someone that's actually good at it. There you go.
Thank you. That means a whole lot.
Yeah.
That means a
Uh,
lot.
World Cubes is saying there should be an extra option there for always update after imports. I agree. It could be beneficial. At least it should be optional. You might not want to do that all the time, especially if you, let's say, if someone is trying to update something that you don't really want to update just yet. But I agree that that should be a good feature to have. Um, Utterly Otter is saying this is an amazing example of how to work together in worlds. It can be difficult, bumping elbows, trying to perfect the scripting and orientations while the builders are placing things in the world. Yep, that's precisely the purpose of collaboration and knowing these things about asset templates that minimizes those roadblocks. Let's see, we have Cray saying, I do love the avatar animation when the player shoots that you get on the avatar for mobile and web. Yep, that's actually a great thing to have for feedback for the player. Uh, yeah, World Cubes. Yeah, I added the sound to the. I don't think that you can actually hear it, but yeah, I did add the sound. But Yelitza do like to make her
Pew
own
pew
sound
pew
effect.
pew
There you
pew
go.
pew. Pew 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 pew
There
pew
you go.
pew.
That's we need to record that audio and then add it to the pistol.
Right? Pew pew pew.
Yeah. Um,
I'll put it in the asset library.
yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right?
Uh, um, yeah, Audley is saying, yeah, we can use Discord for this type of collaboration as well. Actually, fun fact, Yelitza had the great idea of using Discord to share the screen. So what you see on the screen right now, we're using Discord to share this, to split the screen like that. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's another benefit of using Discord is that it makes it easier to split the screen between two presenters if you want to.
Yes.
Cray is saying, it is really making my heart smile. I truly miss building headset. Yep, all of us, yeah, me too. This definitely is helping me see how it will still work. Um, World Cubes is saying the gizmos could have display mode toggle for cube or axis lines, so it's not it's not a clue item, so and see the location more precisely. Yeah, I agree. It's missing some the gimbal there, so we have it all the time, like in Blender, for example. And then there you go. Many uh, smiles from Craig, World Cubes. Yep. And then oh yeah, the survey link. Did we share the
Oh,
survey? Uh,
on it.
thank you. Oh, Erin did as well. But yeah, let's share it again so that way we make sure that we collect the feedback from the audience. And
And please give us a thumbs up once you actually uh, do the survey so we know that you've followed through on that. This is really important for our programming. So please, oh, please do that for us. We really appreciate that.
yeah, we get more feedback. Thank you, everybody that is leaving feedback for us. Stacy saying like it's been great to watch both of you working at the same time, learning twice as fast. And Meta is saying we'll love to just watch sessions like this with you, experts periodically. Uh, can learn and absorb a lot just watching you work together. Uh, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, like the core of Horizon World is basically collaboration, and Horizon World is a meta app, right? So the core of meta is basically creating social environments, and Horizon Worlds is an extension of that. So definitely working in isolation is an option, but when you create together, you can do things faster than if you do things individually. As you can see, like we were able to create this building and scripting within this time, and then without having to basically duplicate efforts on either side. So yeah, definitely highly recommended. And many,
Ooh.
do you have compliments about your sound effects for the weapon? There you go. So
Ready. I'm gonna put it in the asset library. Pyong 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 pyong.
yeah.
It's gonna be
All right.
great.
I think that's all the questions that we have for this build. Any final comments from you, Glitter? If you wanna.
Well, really, most importantly, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for going along on this journey. I see a lot of people who are consistent in coming to these workshops, and you guys are highly appreciated. Seriously. So, truly, um, thank you, and we'll see you next time in the next workshop.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody that joined today, and yeah, same. Looking forward for the next one to the next one as well.